What small seemingly insignificant thing have you lost that just crushed your world? I had a locket with a picture of my mom holding me right after I was born. My mom wasn't in my life for many years and that was the only picture I had of her. One day I'm playing with my dad's kids, who I hated, and her son rips my locket off my neck and throws it into a bayou by where I lived. I freaked out and he runs back to my house laughing. I searched and searched for that locket but I never found it in the muddy water. When I got back to my house I got in trouble for getting dirty and proceeded to freak the frick out and tried to hurt the kid who threw my locket. More trouble. Bastards. This has put me into a bad mood. I'm so angry about this happening to you. A stick. When a friend died years ago I was really struggling to go inside for the funeral. I sat under a tree fiddling with a small stick. I ended up taking it and for some reason put it in my pocket and forgot. When I got home for some reason I could not throw it out. Lost it when I moved though. When I first went to college, we had this orientation assembly where everyone was supposed to write their biggest goal for the next 4 years on a tiny white card. I was petrified, but I also wasn't about to admit it, so I wrote some grandiose load of bulls about self-actualization and high achievements. The next step was that when we had all written down our goal, we were supposed to exchange cards with someone nearby. My card got yanked out of my hand in the tumult that followed, and next thing I knew everyone had a new card except me. I was about to give up the exercise as a lost cause when I looked down between my feet and found a card that had been cast aside and forgotten. I picked it up, flipped it over, and read a single word in tiny, demure handwriting. Survive. I carried the card around in my wallet throughout my freshman, sophomore, and junior years, pulling it out occasionally when I needed a reminder that I wasn't the only one who got anxious now and then. The morning of my first final this semester, however, I went to pull it out and realized it wasn't there. It was actually the most demoralizing thing that's happened to me all year. TLDR. A meaningful personal talisman went missing when I needed it most. I see it as this: you survived, therefore you don't need the card anymore, but someone else does. Imagine the card in another person's wallet for the next 4 years, helping them survive. I lost my favorite jacket. It was a perfect fit, went with any shirt I wore, whether that be smart or casual, and it looked great on me. It's proven to be irreplaceable. I got shithoused a few weeks ago and lost my favorite jacket, so I hear that I'll just buy a new one when I have some money, but that jacket had seen some crap. When I was 16, someone stole my purse. Not a big deal, since there wasn't much in there usually, but that time, I'd been carrying a letter sent to me in response to a fan letter I'd sent to an author. It was 1973, and the letter was from J.R.R. Tolkien. Whoa, this is definitely not insignificant. My grandfather was a painter. He used to take me out with him to sketch the fields near my parents' house. I was only 5 when he died, but I remember those times very well. I used to ask him to borrow some of his paints and brushes, but he used to say that I shouldn't worry, that when he passed away all those supplies would be mine. Now I'm 30 and I'm a professional illustrator. I owe it all to him. I lost his suitcase of oil paint tubes when I moved some years ago. I still feel bad about it. Those rusty tubes meant so much to me. Your story is very touching. My grandfather used to paint with oil on canvas. He is the reason why I want to become an artist. But in the course of the last 10 years, he became visually impaired, so he could not teach me how to paint. When I was about 6 or 7, my sister took me to the cinemas to see a movie which even today is still my favorite ever. The fast food place we went had special cups for the movie, and she bought me one. Moved house a few times and couldn't locate a cup. Found it a few weeks ago, shattered in the bottom of the box, completely beyond repair. I was so upset, and even now I feel sad thinking about it. I've been checking eBay, Amazon and doing random searching trying to find a replacement, but haven't found one like mine. You should describe it. Maybe someone on Reddit can find one for you. I had a brush with death a couple years ago and decided to move to Puerto Rico for a few months to enjoy the beaches with a friend and celebrate being alive. 3 days into my tenancy, while exploring some rocks, I got knocked down by a massive wave. The injury in some shoddy Puerto Rican healthcare resulted into sepsis that led me to take an emergency flight back to the US. After a pick line of continuous antibiotic concoctions and quarantine in a clean room, they finally stabilized me enough for surgery, where they removed a rock lodged in my butt cheek. After analysis of the rock, they gave it to me in a jar. That jar went with me to my parents' house, where I went to recover. The rock that got lodged in my butt and almost cost me my life is now missing. I have a bitchin' scar to remember the event, but it still makes me upset that the actual rock is gone. TLDR. I lost my butt rock. I'd make a joke about being stoned off your butt, but I'm sure it's been done. I'm going to use your TLDR as your tag now. BTW. I got this plastic green diamond thing from a quarter machine at the grocery store when I was 8 and I put it in an envelope and wrote a letter that said, "Find me in 10 years and you'll have magic," and I tossed the envelope into bushes behind my house. Basically, I forgot about it, moved, and it's been almost 15 years and I randomly remembered and went to go find it at my old house. It's nowhere to be found. I was so psyched to get magic, but I guess it just wasn't in the cards. I was robbed of everything a couple years ago. Expensive purses, 2 desktop computers and 2 laptops, etc. etc. But they also stole all of my mom's jewelry. She's been dead for a little over 8 years. I miss it so much it hurts. Even with renter's insurance, those things are irreplaceable. I live halfway across the world from my mum. A few years ago she bought me a bracelet and promised to send me a new charm each year. She never remembered to do just that, but I still cherish that bracelet more than anything. One night I wore it to a special event that I wish she could be there for. I think it was my graduation and it must have slipped off my wrist because on my way home I noticed it was gone. I started to cry uncontrollably, which probably freaked out my mates. When I realized my tags were gone, I bolted out of the building and started tearing my car apart looking for it. When I came back and I was dang near crawling on the floor, my co-worker thought I had lost my marbles. When I was young, my very favorite movie was Charlotte's Web. I had the VHS and would play it all the time. I would even carry it with me around the house, and it took some convincing by my parents to get me to leave it at home when we went out. I took it into the bathroom with me to go pee one time when it slipped out of my hands and fell into the pee water, ruining the tape. I was inconsolable. I've since made good progress getting over it, 20 years later, but man, I love that movie. My daughter carries around the shemagh I got in Iraq. She takes better care of that thing than most things she owns. She knows how important it is. A giant jar of grape jelly I had for almost 10 years. My step-grandmother gave it to me for Christmas, as a private joke, because I didn't like any jelly but grape, so she'd bring it out in her restaurant just for me. It came at a time when my family was really not taking me into consideration. My new step family wasn't trying to get to know me, just a general crappy time. Seems silly, but I was very sad when my jar of jelly fell and cracked. Still makes me sad, in fact. It's not silly. The best gifts are rarely expensive. Anyone can spend cash, but the little stuff that really say a person understands you or your personality, those rock. My godfather was a huge Pink Floyd fan. He died listening to Pink Floyd. Literally, one of the things he gave me was his personal copy of Dark Side of the Moon. When I moved out of my old place, I just lost it somehow. I don't think I've ever experienced anything quite like that. I think Eclipse would be the best song to go out to. A marble ashtray. My dad kept it in his woodworking shed. I was pretty young when he passed away, but I always kept that ashtray for some reason. I lost it moving between friends' houses when I was younger. I'd give anything to get that ashtray back. My mother became blind when I was 4 from me's. She had been a professional painter her entire life and had one ornate paintbrush that she still kept for me. She died when I was 17. While away at college my freshman year, my dad let my cousin borrow my art supplies without consulting me first. She left my mother's brush sit in the same water for weeks, and when I came home from the holidays there was mold growing through to the wooden handle. I cried for hours. Still stings to think about. I have a silver reel I wear around my neck, salvaged from a sunken pirate ship, no less. That was a gift from my parents. I've had it for 6 or 7 years. I wore it every day and I found it came to remind me to be adventurous, take risks, rely on my luck and good fortune. Silly as it sounds, I've been in a lot of life and death close calls that have only been avoided through preposterous strokes of good fortune at the last moment. Not that I think the coin has anything to do with it, but it does remind me to smile about it. I lost it earlier this year. I was on my way to an airport and wanted to give a homeless man I knew some money. I had heard him mention how difficult the winter is when all the students go home for break before I left, but couldn't find him. I knew where he slept. It was in a drainage area under a post office, so I crawled in and left him $100 inside a small bottle so he'd find it when he came back. Halfway to the airport I noticed my coin was gone from around my neck and I knew I'd lost it and didn't have time to retrieve it without missing my flight, which I could not afford to do. I was more upset than I was able to really explain to the people I casually mentioned it to. In another stroke of preposterously good fortune, upon returning to the site a month later, I noticed there was a coin on the high foot traffic sidewalk next to the drainage entry. My coin. Nobody had touched it or noticed it in all that time, and it hangs around my neck now. Should have known something like that would happen. This is how Pirates of the Caribbean V will start. Super insignificant item. Red paper clip. No real sentimental meaning behind the clip itself. Really. This just happened recently. My cousin. She's about 10 years younger than me. I bought her a Canon XTI kit a few years ago and she's been taking photography classes in school. Went on a trip with her photo class to Australia and wants to go to college for photography. Got into photography and we bond a lot over that hobby. She's the world's most wonderful kid. She works hard, is not your typical teenager, i.e. disrespectful, angry, etc., and is a genuinely caring person. For some reason she really looks up to me, so she sends me this red paper clip as part of a project for her photography class. She gives me 1 week to take as many interesting photos as I could with the paper clip. I freaking lost the paper clip. I had, literally, thrown the kitchen garbage on the floor and began sorting through it on my knees, going completely off my rocker. My wife was baffled at how I almost lost my crap over a paper clip. I eventually found it. Then I was able to take those pictures for her. I would have been absolutely crushed to send her a letter back saying that I lost the clip, or send her pictures with another paper clip in it. That freaking clip was important, man. And I don't have any idea why. Maybe because she is very important to you. My girlfriend bought me a ring for my birthday. She was only a student at the time so couldn't afford a lot, but as she worked part-time in a jeweler's, she was able to get a nice one for half price and it ended up being a one-off bespoke design because she was in touch with the designer. I had a habit of taking it off at work when I was working at my desk and one day I either lost it or somebody stole it. The thing is, her employer actually went out of business and she never ended up being invoiced for the ring. So it didn't cost her anything, but I still feel really bad about it and it was one of the nicest gifts she ever gave me. The morning after our wedding my husband and I were in such a hurry, I ran off forgetting my flowers. I was going to dry them. It seemed small, but I was crushed. When I was 2, my parents bought me a giant, think 8-9 feet long, stuffed tiger. It was broad and it could cuddle me perfectly. I had it until I was 14, when it grew so worn and beaten that it couldn't be repaired and had to be replaced, thrown out. When I saw it on the side of the road for the trash man, the day at school was rough, even for someone in the 7th grade. 9 feet equals 2.74 meters. When I was maybe 5, I got a toy Hulk from a MC Donald's Happy Meal. His torso could retract and one hand was clenched to a fist, the other a cupping palm. I got him on my way home from daycare at the Play Place McDonald's. I can remember taping golf tees to his hands and pretending they were swords, and I remember my mom temporarily confiscating it when I misbehaved at the Play Place on the day I got it. One day I set him on my nightstand, and he vanished by next morning. I'm now 23, living in the same house, having cleaned my room dozens of times and never having come across it. I accepted a long time ago that he's good and gone. It's an emotional item for me because I have so many vivid memories of it. My parents. but not in a death way, just in a way that they no longer respect me or are proud of me. I'm essentially a 20-year-old bum. I've lost a lot more, but losing their respect and trust is a killer. When my dad was cremated, there was this little metal tag on the bag of ashes, just a unique identifying number to keep his ashes separate from everyone else's. I carried it around for a solid year before it disappeared one day. No idea what happened to it. Tweezers. I know it seems silly, but it is really hard to find a good set of tweezers, and I got attached to this one purple set I had. I miss them sorely. Also, when I get sick with the flu, I get unnaturally attached to a water bottle with a pop top. Different water bottle every time, but I always get ridiculously attached to it and get way too stressed out when I can't find it. Tweezerman. Part of my mind. I had an undiagnosed condition for a long time called pernicious anemia, and over time, it feels like part of my mind has faded. I used to be able to recall tons of information without any effort. Now, I have to write down who I'm calling, because if I don't, by the time they say hello, I will have forgotten. Sometimes I'll leave the house, get half a block away, and realize I don't remember where I was heading. Math problems, words, all things that, alone, seem tiny or insignificant, but it scares me a lot. Eater. I also want to say, I'm really sorry for your loss. I understand it in a way that I can't explain here, and I wish I could find them for you. My brother made me this really horrible headless giraffe statue made out of wood. It was probably the poorest woodworking I've ever seen, but it was a gift and I kept it on my desk. Anyway, my dog ate it. Still miss the wood giraffe because it was the only non-purchased gift my brother has ever given me. Pendant from my necklace with my dad's and my name on it. Made the day he passed away. Was having fun with a group of friends and we decided to go paintballing. After we got to a friend's house to rest a bit, I felt awkward for some reason. Didn't take long to notice the pendant was gone. I hadn't taken it off for about 7 years straight. Think I cried 3 hours straight. You know, when you are of school age, you put your mind into the things in your stationery box. During 8th grade, I lost my box which had the best collection of pens I ever had. It was really smoothly running fountain pen, which my mom had gifted me, and couple of other pens which I was so used to that I couldn't write without. It was lost in one big haul and I cried and cried and cried. Never ever since then I put my feelings into non-living things. Packed up my place, moving out at 18 like a good kid. My high school friends are over shoving all my worldly possessions into black garbage bags. One of them walks down to our snazzy new trash compactors, carrying the innocuous looking bag with my baby blankie and all of my elementary, junior high and high school yearbooks to be unceremoniously compacted. I found out a few weeks later ripping apart bags like a raccoon looking for my blankie, as it's the only thing I can actually get to sleep with, only to realize what has been brought over. WTF old flip-flops and corn chips, and what has been trashed. Still makes me sad nearly 15 years ago. That includes marriage and divorce. This is Reddit, my friend, and we are here to help. Where did you lose your tags? Let us know the city so we can post on their subreddit. This website once helped Sesame Street find a long lost cast member. I think we can find your tags. I was working on my car last week and I misplaced the shifter knob. It came from my dad's first car. Dang ol' knob meant a lot to me. Tell you what man, bet dang ol' Dale took it. Can't even drive, no got dang stick man. Damn it, boom haul. When I was 9 years old or so, my uncle asked if he could play my Pokemon Yellow game, because he was curious as to what it was I had been doing all vacation. I tell him it's okay, just so long as he doesn't save anything, because I had nearly caught every Pokemon and didn't want anything to go wrong. Fast forward 2 hours. I have returned from the beach and I pick up my Game Boy. I immediately notice I am not where I saved last, and check my Pokemon. I only have a level 6 Pikachu and a level 3 Pidgey. I died inside that day. I remember I used to play Mario 64 a lot. I'd nearly beaten the last Bowser, and had a few hundred lives and such. I was getting close to completing the game. Then I decided to discover what the game would look like played in another language. Only, choosing a new language deletes your entire save game. That brings back bad memories. Not quite lost, but it still crushed me. I grew up with a pound puppy since I was an infant. Kept him in good condition all through my childhood, and he even earned a place on a shelf in high school. He got brought to college, even though it was in the far back of my closet and buried, more for the feeling of home than anything. One day I was arguing with my girlfriend, got drunk and pee off and she stormed out, and I ended up seeing my pound puppy and I hurled it against the wall as hard as I could. As soon as I did that, it absolutely broke my heart. Stupid, isn't it? A guy in college feeling a deep remorse for throwing a stuffed animal. I think that was the last vestiges of my innocence and youth crying out, asking me why I would stomp on my memories and something that used to bring me comfort. I remember apologizing to the pound puppy, knowing that it was nothing but fabric and stuffing. I was really apologizing to myself, hating how angry I'd become. My grandfather's watch. It has a huge history in my family, and it's even been through a couple of wars. When my girlfriend and I left town, she left it on the little kangaroo statue by the door. How could she forget it? I specifically told her not to. When I was younger, I lost my favorite green fanny pack. I know it is not exactly acceptable for a grown man to wear one today, but as a little boy it is perfect to keep your rocks and other treasures in when you are hard at work playing outside. I wore it till I was around 5 and it just suddenly disappeared one day. I have no clue where that thing went, and to this day it is the one item I cannot account for. When I lost it, I looked all over and never could fully explain its mysterious vanishing act. I secretly think my dad may have confiscated it to spare me the cruel ridicule bestowed upon those who wear fanny packs. So I guess I kinda owe him for looking out for me, but I still really miss that old thing. Your theory is what I would have said. I had a little stuffed pig from the day I was born. Used to be pink with a little sleeping cap and a pillow sewn to his arms. The pillow used to play a little lullaby, though I can't remember what it sounded like. I used to bring that pig everywhere and slept with it every night. When I was about 15, I brought it to a theme sleepover. Theme was like little kid sleepover, where we did the things little girls did at sleepovers. Oh god, this sounds so creepy. Like painting nails, makeovers, watching Disney movies. I brought ZeeZee the pig, and somehow in the course of the night he got lost. We tore through the house in the morning, but he was gone. I was devastated. Cried myself to sleep for about a week. This pig was given to me by my godfather and had been with me every night. I had worn holes in him from rubbing certain spots. He had faded to a dirty grey, though if you pulled his nose down a little there was pink in the creases. His eyes were chipped, the sleeping cap and pillow were long gone, and all the fluff in one arm was completely missing. He'd been everywhere with me. 2 years pass, and one day the friend whose house I slept over at years ago pulls into the driveway with her mom. She comes up to the door with a big smile on her face and handed me ZeeZee. I immediately broke down in tears. Apparently he had been thrown in with a bunch of the other stuffed animals in the playroom of the house. My friend had 2 little siblings and was about to be shipped off to Goodwill before being recognized. My dad suggested we put him in a glass case, vacuum seal it, and keep him in there forever, but I couldn't bear not sleeping with him. Still sleep with him to this day. I'm 23. My best friend died in a car crash when we were 17. The day before it happened, we got high at my house. He left and forgot his pipe. I held onto his pipe for a few years. It meant a lot to me. One night, when I was too drunk to think straight, I took it out to smoke a bowl. I dropped it and it shattered. Still wish I had it. I miss that guy. I tell fellow ants all the time, if you smoke with a piece that holds sentimental value, you're going to have a bad time. It's a pull out and toke for the anniversary kind of thing. The continuous heating and cooling of the bowl head will eventually cause the glass in the bowl to become brittle and cave in. Sorry for your loss though, equals. Not so much lost, but actually gained. Growing up, I would ask my parents for luxury goods that my friends has, such as N64, Game Boy, and a bunch of other gizmos so I and my brother could enjoy ourselves. When I got into my teens, I then realized how poor of an economic condition my immigrant parents had always been in, and I felt absolute anguish that I acted like a little dong and would demand all sorts of high-priced nonsensical crap that was the result of days and weeks of work. My best friend deleted my Pokemon Silver file. I lost 6 level 100s. He's now my sister's boyfriend of 8 years and they're having a kid 3 months after me and my girlfriend had ours. I don't want to resent my brother-in-law or my nephew, but I feel it's inevitable. A girl's phone number. She and I have been friends for almost 6 years and in the last year we've grown apart, and recently I tried calling her only to the number now belongs to disgruntled man. Through the entirety of our friendship, we've only seen each other in person once. We have no mutual friends and she doesn't have a Facebook. In this day and age it almost seems impossible that I can't contact her, but here I am. It was such a sobering, somber feeling knowing I may never speak to her again. My girlfriend gave me a, seriously, don't be condescending about this, rainbow dash action figure of the latest My Little Pony series. I thought I had lost the little duck figure that I always keep with me. Flipped out, scoured my room until I found it had fallen out of my pocket under my desk. An old naked lady bottle opener keychain. I know it sounds strange and all, but my grandfather gave it to me. He got it during World War II when he was fighting in Italy, and got it in Rome at the time. It was just a flat metal one, with the legs as the opener part. He died 10 years ago, and was the only thing I had from him. He was the best person I've ever known. He had also given me a rifle, that was later stolen, but for some reason the keychain hit home more. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.